Navy SEAL documentary, the hero who dies saving them all alone. Navy SEAL Lieutenant Jake Morrison had exactly 96 hours to live. Not from enemy bullets or bombs, but from stage 4 pancreatic cancer spreading through his body like wildfire. The doctors at Walter Reed had been brutally honest 3 weeks ago. Go home, Lieutenant. Spend your final days with family. But Jake Morrison wasn't going home. Not yet. Because 12 American doctors were chained in a Syrian compound, awaiting public execution in 72 hours. And command had just labeled their rescue impossible, too high risk, insufficient assets, no viable extraction. Jake sat in the briefing room at Naval Special Warfare Command in Virginia Beach, listening to senior officers explain why they couldn't save 12 Americans. His body was destroying itself from within. 40 pounds lost in 6 weeks. Constant pain that morphed and medication barely touched. Exhaustion so profound that climbing stairs left him gasping. But his mind was sharp. His skills remained lethal. And he had one final mission left in him. These hostages will be executed on live television, Captain Richards said grimly, pointing to intelligence photos displayed on the screen. The militants want maximum propaganda value. They're demanding prisoner releases we can't authorize. And this compound, he zoomed in on satellite imagery, is a fortress. 18 armed militants, guard towers, reinforced positions. We'd need a full platoon for successful extraction, and even then, casualties would be catastrophic. So we're abandoning them? Lieutenant Sarah Chin asked, her voice tight with frustration and disbelief. We're not abandoning anyone, Captain Richards corrected firmly. We're facing reality. The risk-to-benefit ratio doesn't support action. Jake Morrison raised his hand slowly. Everyone turned to look at him. The legendary SEAL who'd completed 47 successful missions, who'd trained 3 generations of warriors, who looked like death itself in his uniform that now hung loose on his wasting frame. I'll go, Jake said quietly. Alone. Tonight. The room erupted in protests and shocked objections. Morrison, you're on medical leave, Captain Richards said, shaking his head. You're not cleared for active duty. You can barely. I'm dying anyway, sir, Jake interrupted, his voice carrying a weight that silenced every objection. 3 months, maybe less. The chemo stopped working. My body's shutting down piece by piece. So I have a choice. Die slowly in a hospital bed, or die doing what I spent 26 years training to do. Saving American lives. The silence was absolute and suffocating. You have family, Captain Richards said gently, his expression pained. Sarah, your daughters, your granddaughter, don't they deserve your final weeks? Those 12 hostages have families too, Jake replied, pulling up profiles on his tablet. Dr. Michael Patterson, 3 kids under 10. Dr. Linda Huang, just got engaged last month. Nurse Thomas Blake, single father to twin girls. They all have people waiting for them, praying for them, begging us to bring them home. And we're going to tell those families we chose not to try. He stood, his body protesting every movement, but his spine straight with determination and resolve. I'm already dead, sir. Cancer made that decision for me. But I can choose how I die. I can die martyring. I can die saving 12 people who deserve to live. That's the best ending a warrior could ask for. Captain Richards stared at him for a long, heavy moment. Then he did something that technically violated every regulation. He saluted. You're the bravest man I've ever known, Jake Morrison. Godspeed. The planning took 18 hours. Jake would infiltrate alone. No backup. No air support. No extraction guarantee. Just one dying SEAL against impossible odds, operating on borrowed time in every sense. The mission was officially classified as unauthorized action by individual operator. If Jake succeeded, the Navy would claim credit. If he failed, they'd deny everything. Jake didn't care about credit. He cared about 12 Americans going home alive. His wife Sarah found him packing his gear in their bedroom at 0300 hours. She stood in the doorway, wrapped in his old Navy hoodie, tears streaming silently down her face. She knew. Somehow, she'd always known when he was going into danger. Jake, she whispered, her voice breaking. Please don't do this. Please stay. However much time you have left, I want every second of it. He crossed to her, taking her face in his hands. hands that had held weapons and saved lives and built a home with her over 28 beautiful years. Sweetheart, if I spend my final days in a hospital bed, watching myself waste away, seeing the pain in your eyes, I'll die a coward. But if I can save 12 people, 12 families, 12 futures, I'll die the man you married, the warrior you've supported all these years. I don't want a warrior, Sarah sobbed desperately. I want my husband. I want more time. I want to be selfish and keep you here with me. You've never been selfish a day in your life, Jake said softly, kissing her forehead with infinite tenderness. You've shared me with the Navy for 26 years. You've waded through deployments, prayed through missions, healed my wounds both visible and invisible. You've been my strength, my anchor, my reason for coming home. And now I need you to be strong one more time. Let me do this. Let me end my story saving lives instead of losing to cancer in a hospital room. Sarah pressed her face against his chest, feeling his heart beat, each thump precious, numbered, running out. Promise me something. Anything. Promise me you'll remember how much I love you. Every second over there. Promise me that when it gets hard, when you're scared, when you think you can't go on, you'll remember that you're loved beyond measure. That you matter. That you're my hero, not because you're a SEAL, but because you're the man who chose me 28 years ago and never stopped choosing me. Jake held her tighter, breathing in her scent, memorizing this moment. I promise. I love you, Sarah Morrison. You made my life worth living. Now let me make my death worth something too. They stood together in the darkness for long minutes, saying goodbye without words, holding each other as if love alone could stop time and defy cancer and rewrite endings. But dawn came anyway, and warriors go where they're called. Jake's daughters arrived just before he left. Emily and Rachel, both strong women who'd inherited their father's determination and their mother's compassion. They gathered in the living room, and Jake told them edited truths wrapped in necessary lies. There's a mission, he said carefully. Short duration, low risk. I'll be back before you know it. Emily, his oldest, always too perceptive, looked at him with eyes that saw through every deception. Dad, don't lie to us. Not now. We know about the cancer. We know how bad it is. So tell us the truth. Where are you really going? Jake's facade crumbled. He'd always been a terrible liar to his daughters. 12 Americans are going to die if someone doesn't help them, he said quietly, honestly. And I have the skills to help. So I'm going. And I probably won't come back. But those 12 people will. They'll go home to their families. They'll hug their children. They'll live full lives. Because I spent my final days making sure they could. Rachel started crying. That's not fair. You're our dad. We need you. Your granddaughter needs you. How can you choose strangers over us? I'm not choosing them over you, Jake said, kneeling with difficulty, pulling both daughters close. I'm choosing to honor everything I've taught you your entire lives. Service, sacrifice, courage, doing what's right even when it costs everything. If I stayed home now, knowing I could have saved those people and chose not to, I'd die ashamed. And I refuse to leave you that legacy. He pulled back, looking at each daughter with fierce, paternal love. You two are my greatest accomplishment. Not my missions, not my medals, you. The amazing women you've become. The compassion you show the world. The strength you carry. That's my legacy, and I need you to carry it forward. Teach your children about service. Teach them about sacrifice. Teach them that some things are worth dying for, like saving innocent lives. Emily and Rachel clung to their father, sobbing, knowing this was goodbye, hating it, but understanding it because he'd raised them to understand it. We love you, Dad, Emily whispered fiercely. We're so proud of you, Rachel added through tears. I love you both, Jake said, his voice thick with emotion. More than life itself. Never forget that. And when you tell your children about me, don't just tell them I was a SEAL. Tell them I was a man who loved his family so much that when I had to choose how to die, I chose to save other families. That's what love really means. The drive to the airfield was quiet. Sarah held Jake's hand the entire way, their fingers intertwined, neither speaking because words were inadequate for this moment. At the departure gate, Jake kissed his wife one final time. A kiss that carried 28 years of marriage, countless memories, infinite love, and one last goodbye. I'll wait for you. I'll wait for you, Sarah whispered against his lips, even though they both knew he wasn't coming back. On the other side, don't keep me waiting too long. I'll find you anywhere, Jake promised. This life or the next. You're my home, Sarah. Always. Then he walked through the gate, into the transport plane, into his final mission. He didn't look back. Looking back would break him, and he needed to be strong for what came next. The flight to Cyprus took 11 hours. Jake spent it preparing, checking weapons, reviewing intelligence, writing letters to his family that would be delivered after his death. The letters took hours because there was so much to say, so many memories to honor, so much love to express in inadequate words. To Sarah, thank you for loving a warrior. Thank you for wading through deployments and healing my wounds and making our house a home. You gave me everything worth fighting for. I'm sorry I can't give you more time, but I can give you pride. Be proud of me, sweetheart. I died doing what mattered. To Emily, you were my first miracle. Watching you grow from that tiny baby into an incredible woman has been my greatest joy. Lead with compassion. Love fiercely. Stand up for what's right even when it's hard. That's how you honor my memory. To Rachel, you were my wild child, my adventurer, my brave girl who was never afraid of anything. Keep that courage, honey. The world needs people like you. People who run toward danger instead of away from it. Make your life matter. To his granddaughter, Emma, who was only 8 months old, you won't remember me, sweet girl. But I'll always remember holding you that one time before I deployed. You grabbed my finger with your tiny hand, and I knew what I was fighting for. I'm fighting for you, Emma. For your future. For the world you'll grow up in. Live fully. Love deeply. Love deeply. And know your grandpa died, making sure you'd have the chance to do both. The letters were sealed and given to the transport crew with instructions. Deliver these if I don't return. When you don't return, you mean, the pilot, a veteran himself, said quietly, shaking Jake's hand with profound respect. It's been an honor flying you, sir. Give him hell. Always do. Jake replied with a faint smile. The helicopter dropped him in the Syrian desert 12 miles from the target compound at 0200 hours. Alone. No backup. No communications after insertion. Just Jake, his weapons, his training, and approximately 72 hours of life remaining in his cancer-ravaged body. He began the approach march immediately. The desert was brutally cold, temperatures dropping to near freezing in the darkness. Each step was agony. The cancer had spread to his bones, making every movement feel like walking on broken glass. The pain medication helped marginally, but Jake was limiting his dosage. He needed his mind sharp, his reactions fast. Pain was just sensation. He could endure sensation. He'd endured worse. Halfway to the target, Jake had to stop and vomit, a side effect of both the cancer and the medication. He knelt in the sand, his body heaving, and for a moment, despair threatened to overwhelm him. What was he thinking? He was dying. He was weak. He was one man against 18 militants. This wasn't a mission. It was suicide dressed up as heroism. But then he looked at the photo he carried, the hostage faces. 12 Americans who'd gone to Syria to help refugees, to provide medical care in a war zone, to embody the best of American compassion. They didn't deserve to die on camera for propaganda. They deserved to go home. Jake forced himself upright and kept walking. The compound came into view at 0430 hours. Intelligence photos hadn't done it justice. This was a fortress. Chain link fencing topped with razor wire. Guard towers at each corner. Roaming patrols. Floodlights illuminating the perimeter. Jake counted 6 exterior guards immediately, which meant probably 12 more inside, plus reserves. 20 militants. 1 dying SEAL. 12 hostages. The mathematics of suicide. But Jake didn't come here to do math. He came here to do the impossible. He spent 40 minutes observing patrol patterns, identifying weak points, calculating angles of approach. His SEAL training took over, shutting down fear and doubt, reducing the mission to pure tactical problem solving. The eastern fence had the longest shadow. Guard rotation happened every 30 minutes. There was a 90-second window where 2 sectors had no overlapping coverage. 90 seconds to get inside. Jake synchronized his watch and waited. At 0547 hours, he moved. Wire cutters through the fence, silent and efficient. Through the gap, rolling into shadows. First guard tower. Jake climbed silently, his damaged body screaming in protest, but his training overriding every instinct to stop. The guard was young, maybe 20, smoking a cigarette and watching the sunrise. He never knew death had climbed up behind him. Jake's suppressed pistol coughed once. The guard fell. Moving quickly, Jake descended and headed for the main building. 2 more guards near the entrance, both eliminated with precision shots before they could react or raise alarm. Bodies dragged into shadows. Evidence concealed. Jake was inside the compound now, deep in hostile territory, operating on borrowed time in every sense. The building interior was a converted warehouse. Concrete floors, metal staircases, storage rooms converted into living quarters. Jake moved like a ghost through corridors, eliminating threats silently, methodically, for more militants down before any alarm was raised. But finding the hostages was harder. The building was a maze, and Jake's body was failing. He had to stop twice to rest, leaning against walls, fighting waves of dizziness and nausea. The cancer was winning, shutting down his system piece by piece. How much longer could he function? How many more minutes of combat effectiveness did he have? Didn't matter. He'd function until he didn't. Until then, there was a mission to complete. He found the hostages in a basement room, 12 terrified Americans chained to pipes, guarded by 3 militants. Jake studied the situation from a ventilation grate above. Direct assault would get hostages killed. He needed to thin out the guards first. He dropped a flashbang through the grate. The explosion was deafening in the confined space, blinding light and thunderous sound. The militants staggered, disoriented, clutching their eyes and ears. Jake dropped through the grate and landed hard, his knees buckling, but his training kept him moving. 3 shots. 3 dead militants. The hostages screaming in terror and hope. "I'm Lieutenant Jake Morrison, United States Navy SEALs," he said quietly, moving immediately to break their chains with bolt cutters. "Stay quiet. Stay close. Do exactly what I say. We're leaving." Dr. Michael Patterson, leader of the medical team, stared at Jake with wide eyes. "There's only one of you? They sent 1 man. 1 is all you get," Jake replied, continuing to cut chains. "And 1 is all you need. I've extracted hostages from worse situations than this." It was only partially true. Jake had never attempted solo extraction against these odds. But the hostages needed confidence, not honesty. The chains broke free. 12 Americans stood on trembling legs, looking at their impossible savior. A gaunt SEAL who looked half dead already but moved with lethal efficiency. "Single file," Jake commanded. "Single file," Jake commanded. "Stay in my shadow. If I say run, you sprint. If I say hide, you hide. If I go down," he paused, meeting each person's eyes, "you keep moving north. 12 miles to the Turkish border. You don't stop. You don't look back. You survive. Clear." They nodded, too terrified to speak. Jake led them up the stairs, back into the warehouse. The building was eerily quiet. His silent eliminations had removed most guards without raising alarm. But any moment, someone would notice. Any second, the compound would erupt. They reached the main floor. 50 feet to the exit. 40 feet. 30 feet. Then a door opened. A militant walked out, yawning, carrying breakfast. He saw Jake and the hostages. His eyes widened. His mouth opened to scream. Jake's rifle coughed. The militant fell, but his tray crashed to the floor with a tremendous noise that echoed through the building like thunder. Shouting erupted from everywhere. Footsteps pounding. Weapons being grabbed. The entire compound coming alive like a disturbed hornet's nest. "Run!" Jake roared, shoving the hostages toward the exit. "Go now!" Chaos exploded. Militants poured from rooms, some still pulling on clothes, others grabbing weapons, all shouting in Arabic. Jake stood between them and the fleeing hostages, his rifle singing its deadly song. 1 militant down. 2, 3, 4. Controlled bursts. Perfect accuracy despite his deteriorating body. The hostages sprinted across the compound toward the fence gap. Bullets tore through the air around them, sparking off metal and concrete. Dr. Patterson was hit, a round through his shoulder, but he kept running, half carried by his colleagues. Jake provided covering fire, moving backward toward the fence, laying down suppressing fire that kept militants pinned. His rifle magazine emptied. He dropped it, and reloaded with practiced speed. His hands steady despite everything. The hostages reached the fence, started crawling through, one by one disappearing into the desert darkness beyond. But there were too many militants now, dozens pouring from the building, spreading out, flanking positions, coordinating fire. Jake couldn't hold them all, couldn't cover every angle. A round hit him, tearing through his left thigh. Pain exploded, bright and sharp. Jake's leg buckled, but he stayed upright through sheer willpower, continuing to fire, continuing to protect the escaping hostages. The last hostage, Nurse Thomas Blake, scrambled through the fence gap and turned back, his face horrified. "Lieutenant, come on." Jake was 50 feet from the fence, militants between him and escape. His leg bleeding heavily, his body shutting down, his ammunition running low. He could maybe reach the fence if he ran now. Maybe survive. Maybe extract with the hostages. But if he ran, the militants would pursue. They'd chase the hostages into the open desert and cut them down. Someone had to stay behind. Someone had to make the enemy focus here, at the compound. Someone had to buy time. Someone had to die so 12 others could live. Jake Morrison had always known this was how his story would end. "Lieutenant Morrison," Thomas Blake screamed desperately. "We can't leave you. You're not leaving me." Jake shouted back, reloading his rifle for the final time. "I'm staying. Now run. That's a direct order. North to the border. Don't stop. Don't look back." Live, the hostages ran, sobbing, disappearing into the desert darkness. Jake turned to face the compound. Alone, surrounded, wounded, dying from cancer and soon from bullets. But at peace, because 12 Americans were running toward freedom. 12 families would be reunited. 12 lives saved. That was worth everything. He found defensive position behind a concrete barrier. Good sight lines, cover from 3 directions, all his remaining ammunition within reach. The militants were organizing now, preparing for coordinated assault. Jake estimated 20 hostiles remaining. His leg was bleeding badly. His body was failing. He had maybe 15 minutes of combat effectiveness left. 15 minutes to give the hostages enough head start to reach safety. He could do 15 minutes. "Come on then," Jake whispered to the advancing militants. "Let's finish this." The final battle lasted 18 minutes. Lieutenant Jake Morrison, husband to Sarah, father to Emily and Rachel, grandfather to Emma, Navy SEAL for 26 years, dying of pancreatic cancer, held that position alone against impossible odds and overwhelming firepower. He fought with the skill of a master warrior and the desperation of a dying man who'd found meaning in his final moments. First assault wave, 8 militants advancing with AK-47s. Jake's rifle sang death, each shot precise and purposeful. 5 fell before reaching cover. The others retreated, shouting for reinforcements. Second wave, coordinated attack from 2 directions. Jake defended brilliantly, switching between targets, conserving ammunition, making every shot count. For more militants down. But Jake was hit again, a round through his right shoulder. Another grazing his ribs. Blood soaked his uniform, mixing with sweat and desert dust. The pain was transcendent now, beyond description. The cancer and bullet wounds creating agony that should have shut his body down entirely. But Jake wouldn't stop. Couldn't stop. Not yet. Third wave. All remaining militants, desperate to end this, coordinating fire from 3 sides. Jake's rifle clicked empty. He switched to his sidearm, his movements slowing, his aim less steady but still effective. 2 more militants fell. Then his pistol clicked empty too. Jake drew his knife. The K-bar he'd carried through 47 missions, worn from use, but still lethally sharp. A militant rushed his position, young, terrified, but committed to the fight. They collided in desperate close combat. Jake's training against youth and fear. The knife found its mark. The militant fell, gasping. "I'm sorry," Jake whispered, because even here, even now, he recognized the tragedy of young men dying in wars they didn't start. But more were coming. Always more. Jake's body was failing catastrophically now. The blood loss, the cancer, the exhaustion. His vision was tunneling, darkening at the edges. He could barely stand. But he'd held this position for 18 minutes. The hostages had 18 minutes head start. They were beyond pursuit range now. They'd make it to the border. They'd survive. Jake Morrison had completed his final mission. He thought of Sarah, her smile, her laugh, the way she'd looked at him on their wedding day. He thought of his daughters, holding them as babies, teaching them to ride bikes, walking them down the aisle. He thought of Emma, his granddaughter, his legacy, the future he was protecting. "I love you all," he whispered to the desert wind. "I'm sorry I couldn't say goodbye properly, but I saved them. 12 people are alive because I was here. That's my final gift to you." That's how I chose to end my story. The militants found him slumped against the concrete barrier, still gripping his knife, blood pooling beneath him. They expected pleas for mercy or final defiance. Instead, Jake Morrison smiled, a genuine, peaceful smile of a man who'd found meaning in his final moments. "Worth it," he said clearly. "Every second. Worth it." Then he died, not as a cancer victim, not as a broken man, but as a warrior who'd spent his final breath saving innocent lives. The sun rose over the Syrian desert. The sun rose over the Syrian desert, painting the sky in gold and crimson, as if heaven itself was saluting a fallen hero. Epilogue. 6 weeks later, Sarah Morrison stood in Arlington National Cemetery, watching them lower her husband's flag-draped casket into the ground. The funeral was massive. Hundreds of SEALs in dress uniforms, government officials, strangers whose lives Jake had touched over 26 years of service. But 12 people stood closest to the grave. 12 Americans Jake had died to save. Dr. Michael Patterson approached Sarah, his arm still in a sling from the bullet wound. He carried a framed photograph. All 12 hostages holding a banner that read, "Lieutenant Jake Morrison, our hero, forever remembered." "Mrs. Morrison," he said quietly, tears streaming down his face. "I need you to know what your husband did. The courage he showed. The sacrifice he made." Sarah nodded, unable to speak through her grief. Dr. Patterson continued, his voice breaking. "When he found us, we were chained in that basement, certain we were going to die. We'd given up hope. And then this man, your husband, dropped through the ceiling like an angel of death. He was already dying. We could see it in his face, his movements. But he moved with such purpose, such determination." Nurse Thomas Blake stepped forward. "When we were escaping, the militants surrounded us. Your husband could have run. He could have saved himself. But he stayed behind to buy us time. The last thing he said to us was live. Not run or hide. Live. He wanted us to survive so much that he gave his life for it." Dr. Linda Huang added, "We made it to the Turkish border just before dawn. 12 of us, exhausted, wounded, but alive. And all we could think about was Lieutenant Morrison, holding that position alone, giving us time. We owe him everything. Giving us time. We owe him everything." Sarah sobbed, held by the 12 people her husband died protecting. They surrounded her like a family, all crying together, bound by tragedy and sacrifice and profound gratitude. "He was dying anyway," Sarah whispered, pulling out Jake's medical records. "Stage 4 cancer. 3 months to live," they said. "He chose to spend his final days saving you instead of dying in a hospital bed. He chose to die as a warrior instead of a victim." The 12 hostages looked at each other, stunned, understanding dawning. "He could have spent that time with you," Dr. Patterson said, his voice filled with awe and sorrow. "With his family, his daughters, his granddaughter. And he chose to save strangers instead." "Not instead," Sarah corrected gently, smiling through tears. "He chose to save you because of his family. Because he'd want someone to do the same for them if they were in danger. Because his daughters learned from him that service matters, that sacrifice matters, that some things are worth dying for. He didn't choose you over us. He chose to make his death mean something for all of us." Emily and Rachel joined their mother, standing together, supporting each other. Emily held baby Emma, now 10 months old, oblivious to the profound loss surrounding her. "Dad wrote letters," Emily said, pulling out worn envelopes. "To all of us. He knew he wasn't coming back. He planned for it. He made peace with it." She read aloud from Jake's letter. "I'm not dying today. I've been dying for months. Cancer chose that. But today, I'm choosing how my death matters. I'm choosing to save 12 people who deserve to live. I'm choosing to die as a warrior, not a victim. I'm choosing to make my final act one of service and sacrifice. Don't mourn me, sweetheart. Celebrate me, because I'm dying exactly how I lived." Protecting people, serving my country, doing what's right even when it's hard. That's the man you know. That's the man I want to be remembered as. There wasn't a dry eye in the cemetery. The 12 former hostages made a circle around Jake's grave, holding hands, heads bowed. Dr. Patterson spoke for all of them. Lieutenant Jake Morrison, we promise you this. We will live the lives you saved. We will make them count. We will tell our children and grandchildren about the Navy SEAL who died alone in a Syrian compound so we could come home. We will honor your memory by living fully, serving others, and never forgetting that our second chance at life came from your final sacrifice. They each placed a flower on his casket, 12 flowers for 12 lives saved. Sarah stepped forward last, placing her hand on the flag-draped casket. You kept your promise, Jake. You remembered how much I loved you. And now I'll keep mine. I'll wait for you. On the other side. Don't keep me waiting too long, warrior. I miss you already. The honor guard fired their salute, 21 shots echoing across Arlington. A bugler played taps. The flag was folded and presented to Sarah with the words, "On behalf of a grateful nation." But the real tribute came later. The 12 former hostages established the Morrison Foundation, dedicated to supporting families of terminal service members and funding cancer research. Every year on the anniversary of Jake's death, they gather to honor him. They bring their families, children who exist because Jake saved their parents, grandchildren who carry forward his legacy. Dr. Patterson's 3 kids, now teenagers, know Jake's story by heart and volunteer at veteran hospitals. Dr. Huang named her firstborn son Jake Morrison Huang. Nurse Blake became an advocate for special operations families, ensuring they get the support they need. And Sarah Morrison? She lived 20 more years. Years filled with grandchildren and great-grandchildren, all taught about their grandfather who chose to die a hero. She never remarried. I had my great love, she'd say with a smile. One was enough for a lifetime. When Sarah finally passed at age 83, surrounded by family, her final words were, "I'm coming, Jake. I hope you haven't been waiting too long." They buried her beside him at Arlington. 2 graves, side by side, with a shared headstone that reads, Lieutenant Jake Morrison, U.S. Navy SEAL. 1969-2019. Husband, father, grandfather, hero. He died alone so 12 could live. Greater love has no man. Sarah Morrison, 1971-2051. Beloved wife, mother, grandmother. She waited for her warrior. Together again. Every Memorial Day, 12 families still visit that grave. Still lay flowers. Still tell their children the story of the Navy SEAL who died alone in a Syrian compound, buying them time with his final breath. Because some sacrifices echo through generations. Because some warriors die alone but are remembered by many. Because Lieutenant Jake Morrison proved that dying with purpose is better than living without it. His final mission saved 12 lives that day. But his story has inspired thousands since, teaching them about sacrifice, courage, service, and the profound truth that how we die matters just as much as how we live. The documentary ends with footage of Emma, Jake's granddaughter, now a Marine Corps officer, standing at his grave. "I never met you, Grandpa," she says, touching his headstone with reverence. "But I know you. Through every story, every letter, every life you saved. You taught me what it means to serve, what it means to sacrifice, what it means to die with honor. I'm carrying forward your legacy. Every Marine I train, every mission I complete, every life I protect. That's you still serving through me." She salutes the grave, sharp, precise, perfect, and somewhere beyond, a warrior who died alone smiles, knowing his sacrifice created ripples that will never end. The end.